The world is forcing the car industry. It is not just Tesla as headlines want it to look like. People who say EVs are not gonna be like 50% in 10 years time clearly are not seeing what's going on. The European Parliament is forcing automakers to make 50% electric vehicles by 2030, or there will be big fines for the one who doesn't reach this goal. Australia is forcing a total ban of selling new ICE cars by the year 2035. That is just in 15 years. And Norway is even more aggressive and is going to ban all new sale of ICE cars by the year 2025. 25 in 5 years time. And China and India, 2.5 billion people, some of the biggest markets in the world, is gonna ban ICE cars by 2030. And many other countries are gonna come in 2035 and 2040. And of course, more than 120 countries have signed the Paris Agreement. So all these countries are also forced to do something about their CO2 emission, and the cars are the easy thing to do something about. So it will happen, and it will happen fast. As you can see, most of the world will ban the sales of new ICE cars in just about 10 years time. But can the big boys really make this switch so fast? They do all have trouble just making 30,000 cars, as they have all said they will produce. Mercedes only made 7,000 in 2019 because they could not produce batteries enough. Jaguar just ran out of batteries and had to stop production for a while and wait for more batteries from LG Chem. And they only made 18,000 in 2019. Yes, Jaguar made 18, not 80. Same thing goes for Audi and the e-tron. They also had to stop production. The big boys are already having trouble making small amounts of electric vehicles. So how will they get to 50% in 2030? Because if we look at Volkswagen, that makes about 11 million cars a year, we are talking about a really big bad boy with a lot of money. But they are so big that it is gonna take a lot of time, because they need like trillions of batteries just to build their cars. Meanwhile, they still have to innovate and spend a lot of money just to catch up with Tesla, that already have worldwide charging infrastructure, which Volkswagen doesn't. Volkswagen need the new software system that can be updated over the air, and right now they can't even get the software to work on their ID.3. But if we just look at battery production, and Volkswagen is forced to produce 50% electric vehicles by 2030 to be able to sell their cars in Europe, India, China, and so on. Is this possible? Volkswagen needs to make 50% of their 11 million cars by 2030. That is 5.5 million cars. They will need about 412 gigawatt hours of batteries. That is about 13 gigafactories like the one GM is building with LG Chem. So Volkswagen would need to build more than 1 gigafactory every year to do this. And if they don't have one up and running by the end of this year, which is unlikely since they haven't started building one yet, then they need to build 1.5 gigafactory for the last 9 years just to get to 50% EV production by 2030. And if these factories are going to cost the same as the one Tesla built in China, about 2 billion, they need to spend about 26 billion on these factories alone. And this is just to build these batteries. Then come all the new software they have to write and all the new product line they have to build, and probably the big fines for not reaching the target of 50% by 2030, which is also going to be billions of dollars in fines. Or maybe they have to make less cars to be able to reach the 50% target. And of course, we also have to think 10 years ahead. I don't think their big cash cow The ICE car is going to be a big cash cow in 2030 because people want to go green. And the young people of today, in 10 years' time, when they will be able to buy a car, they want an electric one. With great software, they can update themselves over the year with an app store and great infotainment system, big charging network, and all this Volkswagen have to provide too and invest billions of dollars in. In any way, this is going to hurt Volkswagen to go electric and be very difficult to do this switch because they are so big. And GM is also a very big boy and has to go through the same thing. But GM already has a plan for 1 gigafactory and would need about 318 gigawatt hours of battery production every year to get to 50% by 2030. That is 10 times more capacity than what they will have in the year 2023. Yes, 3, not 3. I'm trying. When the first gigafactory will be done and fully operational, then they are still missing 9 other gigafactories. And if they expect it to take 3 years to build just the first one, wow, they will not make it in time. And BMW, which only makes about 2.5 million cars a year, still needs close to 100 gigawatt hours, and they don't even want to start now. They plan to support ICE cars for the next 30 years. 30 years! They will not be able to sell these ICE cars in 30 years' time. Not even in 20 years' time. Even BMW, with their smaller number of vehicles, need to get going now if they want to survive this. And this is just talking about building the batteries. They also need to innovate on the battery technology to catch up to Tesla, build charging network, better software, computer hardware, gigafactories to make new production lines for electric vehicles and bring more safety to the car to match Tesla. And of course the big one, invest billions in full self-driving if they don't want Tesla to leave them in the dust. So it is not just batteries they need. The big boys are going to be in a hurry and spending money like crazy if they want to avoid the same fate as the big boy Nokia or Blockbuster. And meanwhile, Tesla is already working on their Chinese-designed next-gen car. Probably something like a Model 2, a much cheaper car for a real mass market. And if they can stay ahead in this game, which I think they will, it is going to be hard for all the other guys to sell their cars if Tesla suddenly no longer is just an expensive luxury car, but a car for your everyday consumer. That will also really hurt all the other guys, because why would you buy any other car if you can get the cheapest EV on the market that is better than all the other cars on range, charging, software, and probably is going to be able to drive itself? That Tesla Model 2 is going to be Tesla's biggest car and the most dangerous car for all the big boys. And of course, all this is not even going to matter when we look 10 years out, because I think Tesla will definitely have full self-driving cars at that time, and this is going to change everything. And I don't think anyone is going to catch up to Tesla in this game, because they are just so far ahead and increasing the lead. If you believe data is the holy grail for self-driving cars, which I do, then there is Tesla and no one else. So if Tesla is going to be the only one with full self-driving car just for a couple of years, this is going to make Tesla the only choice for many car buyers. Why would you buy anything else? So I do think, even without looking at full self-driving, the big boys are going to have a real hard time making this switch, because they no longer are in charge of when they have to make all these million of EVs, but it's being forced by the whole world to do this. So I do really think many of these big old boys are going to die in this process. And we will see many new upcoming car makers, and Tesla will be the king of the electric car world. What do you think? Who are you putting your money on is going to survive this switch, and who will die? When do you think ICE car is gonna be no more, and what year? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to hit the like button and share button. It means a lot for this video. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos.